Hi, I want to be very helpful and very practical in helping you getting started on your essay, the small things essay. And this correlates to the film, lunchbox, and to the story, A Piece of String. And you want to try to integrate something about each of those into your essay in some way by providing a link to that, a transition to that, and at least mentioning that as part of your essay. But really, the main part of the essay is up to you. You can pick any topic you want, any item, any gesture, any concept that fits into this idea of taking something that normally we don't really think a great deal about or don't really notice that much about, and then delving deeply into its implications and significance. So really what this is a way of using our minds. So I just want you to think for a minute about how our minds can really extract something so incredibly meaningful, vital, and really expand our awareness through, if you want to use the word meditation, but at least deliberation on something we usually don't even notice, don't even think about, never really took it into account, perhaps. So let's start with something really, really tiny, like a seed. So seeds can be very, very tiny, but yet, now I'm not preaching, but Christ mentions the kingdom of heaven being like a mustard seed. Underground, out of sight, but what incredible richness and expression once it blooms. So that's one example of that. Another one is the myth of Demeter, the Greek myth. And it has to do with planting the one tiny grain of wheat and its mystical significance and its practical significance in that it gives birth, that it's fertile, that it yields far, far, far more than it is by itself. Or if you want to go negative on seeds, here are some sunflower seeds. I just have to mention, I mean, if some people accidentally eat one of these, then it can seriously harm them. Uh, my wife has a condition called diverticulitis, and if she eats one of those, it can really put her in the hospital. Enough said about that. She probably doesn't appreciate my mentioning her name. So I hope that gives you some idea of that. I've included a couple of quotations, some of my favorites, just to get you thinking about this. The microcosm is the small, it's a tiny, tiny representation. The macrocosm is the big world, the huge, the universal. So what does William Blake say? That eternity is in an hour. Eternity is in an hour. And infinity is in the palm of your hand. You can see a world in a grain of sand. Absolutely amazing. So think about that a little bit. So let's be very, very practical. I'm going to erase these. So you can think of an essay a lot of ways, but if you were to take something like a seed, then you can do a cluster on that and expand around all of these associations, because all of these associations you should follow. That's why I'm saying the first step of your paper should be simply to reflect on this and let your subconscious help you out. Believe me, it does most or all of the work. When I was thinking about this assignment, which is a brand new assignment, I've never done this before, I just let it seep into my subconscious, and then all of these ideas started coming out. Rapid fire, so many that I couldn't possibly use them all or mention them all. So in any case, we have those associations. We could write down Demeter here, Ceres, the Roman name, and the significance of that, the mystical significance in terms of rebirth and new life. We could write down the mustard seed and all of these associations that we have with seed. And then gradually make a list of all of these associations, because they will all help us develop the essay, in this case, based on something as small as a seed, right? Okay, well, not to belabor the point, but after we're done with that, then we can use any of a number of ways of doing this. You can make lists. You can even record, as I mentioned, on your worksheet into your iPhone or your Droid or whatever. And then finally, maybe begin thinking about writing your thesis. And I know there are a lot of suggestions on that in the assigned reading. You just want to take that into account and how to state that. So you formulate your thesis. Uh, Seeds carry with them all sorts of mythical, religious, spiritual, and practical importance or significance. We could say something like that. We'd have to refine that later on. Then you think in terms of your support. You can obviously and should use any connections you got from your reading, from viewing the film, but you can also do a little bit of research if you want to on that, but you know how to give credit, you know how to quote, you know how to paraphrase. So you can always integrate a little bit of that if you want to. You just want to do that correctly. So what do you want to do with these kinds of essays? You want to have an itch, and then you want to follow it. You want to have an interest, because you write for you, you don't write for me. If you write well for you, then you write well for me. Uh, I'm just the bystander. So you're not tailor making it just for me. You're finding what you want to write about in relation to a generalized topic and then pursuing it, then following up on it. So when you write these things, say, I'm really curious about, not me, but you. I'm really curious about, or I want to know more about, and then name it. And then follow up on it. Just dig into it. You'll do great. Okay, that's just getting you started. I'll have some other bits of information on that to try to help you even further. Bye.